Let's review the total station's compensator and units settings. To do this, we'll go to the total station icon that we see in the upper right corner, and first we'll configure the electronic bubble or compensator. Note that the station is well leveled. We can turn on the compensator on only one axis or turn it off on both axes. I'm going to leave it on both axes, and it has an approximate deviation of about 3 to 4 seconds. Obviously, we can adjust that so that it is as close as possible to what would be 0, and in this way, we can leave the equipment ready for the field work. Okay, here we configure or display the electronic bubble, and in the configuration icon we're going to review each of these options, such as the unit's configuration. The angular unit that we work with is degrees, minutes and seconds. Also, for some countries like Chile, it is in degrees, decimal degrees, or in degrees or thousandths of a degree. Distance unit, the international unit, meters. Temperature unit degrees Celsius, and the atmospheric unit in hectopascals are also in millimeters of mercury, depending on what is needed, on the value that is known. However, the N2 is a station that has a temperature and pressure sensor, so it can automatically measure these values at any point where we are. Okay, let's go to the angular configuration, the minimum angular reading. Remember that this does not refer to the precision of the station. The precision will always be 2 seconds of angular precision. This refers to the resolution that we are going to see in the angle on the screen. So, we are up to the level of seconds, or if we want to see the tenth of a second, I'm going to leave it at 1 second. What is going to be the reference for measuring vertical angles? Here we have the horizontal plane, which would be 0, left-right angle, that is, towards which the measurement of the angles will increase. It will always be clockwise, that is, towards the part or towards the right. And the compensator, if it will be off, if it will work on the x-axis, or if it will work on both axes. Distance configuration. The minimum distance reading, if we are going to see to the order of the millimeter or the tenth of a millimeter, the K coefficient, which will always be 0.14. Combined factor, in the case that we are working in an area where we are working with projected coordinates and we know the combined scale factor that will depend on the projection factor, the elevation factor, and obtaining the combined scale factor. The temperature, pressure value, and its corresponding ppm to adjust the distance meter. Here we can do the automatic reading. We are in the city of Lima, and currently the temperature at the site where we are is 24.4 Celsius and the pressure is 100.1 calories. 1 hectopascal. The type of target. Here we can also configure if we are going to measure n quantities of times, continuous tracking, or simple. And if we are going to measure without a prism, target, or prism, but remember that there is a more convenient icon directly on the measurement interface. We can go back and let's go to what would be the auxiliary function. Why? Because calibration, everything that is here, should only be operated by technical service professionals. We ask users not to make any changes to these parameters, as it may affect the operation of the equipment. This is strictly for what would be technical service personnel of each of your authorized SAL distributors. And the APR is a function that is used for robotic total stations. And let's review the auxiliary functions where we can turn on or off the laser pointer, the laser plummet, and activate it for everything that would be the parking of the equipment. We can change what would be the brightness or intensity of the laser plummet. Also the illumination of the reticle in those cases where we are in areas with low light and we need to see the reticles more clearly. To activate the virtual keyboard, to activate the VIP or the sound when we are close to the stakeout point. Measurement beep. If we want an alert to exist every time the name of the point is duplicated, the software language, the order of the coordinates depending on the user's preference, if it is going to be northeast or height or east-north height. The number of numbers, of the points shown on the map, I could expand that value. For example, I could set it to 500 points. The network configuration means when we configure the internet that it is configured as global. And this is for the quick measurement button if we wanted to measure only when pressed or to measure and automatically save the point when pressed, which would be ideal. Okay, we can go back and in this way we have quickly configured what would be the compensator, visualize the compensator to see the leveling and activate it in both axes and everything related to configuring units and the workspace.
See you in the next video.